All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 542 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. We're going to talk some Atlanta Falcons football today. I told you guys, you got to trust this front office. You have to trust this front office. There's going to be times, there are 31 other teams in this league that don't get everything they want. But there's also 31 other teams that definitely will want what we have right now. This front office is actually making some moves. They're making some good moves. They're making some excellent moves. They're trying to build something here. And like I said, it may not be the player that you want. It might not be players that you want. But you got to admit that what they're putting on display, signing and trading people, they're trying to make something happen. And we have to really, at the end of the day, just respect that, because I cannot be more, well, I could be more happier, but I can't be as happy as I am right now. I guess I can. It's a little both ways. But we're going to talk about these 5 moves that happened today on this great day of free agency for the Falcons. We're going to get into what it means for the most part. If this is your first time here, welcome. I could be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. And I'm going to tell you guys, this has been a great day for the Falcons. It's not one of the best days in the world. I mean, one of the best days obviously was, winning the NFC Championship to go to the Super Bowl. One of the best days when, honestly, when we did pick Matt Ryan over the McCoy kid, the defensive tackle. I think his last name was McCoy. I can't remember, but those were great days. The 1998 run when they won not the Super Bowl, but won the NFC Championship against the Vikings. It was another great day. I don't think any of those days could top. I don't think today can top those days. But when you look at everything that we went through and you see what is happening now with this regime, you have situations where some people are still not all in on a particular player, which we will not name at this point because I think that ship is sailed. There's no reason to name that quarterback. We all know who that quarterback is that played for the Ravens. No disrespect to him, but there's no reason to talk about him. And some people are upset that he's not here. But when you look at what this team is doing and the pieces that they're putting together, especially on both sides of the ball, you can talk about one side, you can talk about, the other side, you can talk about some special teams player, or you can talk about a coach. But when you look at the personnel that they're putting in work on both sides of the ball. They re-signed Chris Lindstrom. They traded for Jonnu Sanu. I'm thinking about Muhammad Sanu. Jonnu Smith. They signed him, which I think this is probably the most valuable pick up for the Falcons. And I mean, when I mean valuable, I'm really going to get into that because a lot of people may not understand why I say, well, why Jonnu Smith may be the most valuable pickup. We need defense. We need pass rush. I'm going to get into that because we're going to talk about him first. But we also got some excellent pickups. Got David Anamaya from the Saints. Definitely need that help when we talk about Grady Jarrett. Now we're probably talking about going back to a 4-3 seriously now. Because you know what, the defense that a defensive coordinator like to run and the guys that he's basically familiar with. You got 2 defensive tackles that could wreak havoc on the inside. And you got Evan Kete. You're probably going to get Lorenzo Carter and other guys that's going to be getting around that pass rush. And then you're going to have some exotic moves with the linebackers. So that is, actually really amazing that we was able to pick this guy up because, some people wanted Hargraves as well, but I just don't think Hargraves fit what we're trying to do. But we'll talk about that as well. Also, we signed a punter, Bradley Pinion, which I think that was a pretty good pick, pretty good punter. Special teams, you want ball placement and all the other good stuff. And the big signing of the day was Jesse Bates III. Signed him for a 4-year deal, $64 million. I heard he's getting like $36 million up front. So it's going to be somewhat like a 2-year deal. But, with a guy this young and this productive, it's a possibility the way these contracts are structured, Jesse Bates can be around for a while. We're not going to go that far ahead. We're going to just talk about this season and talk about this offseason and go into that. Look, starting with Jonnu Smith, this could be the most valuable trade or the valuable pickup for the Falcons. And I know we're talking about the draft hasn't started yet, but I'm just talking about as far as free agency goes, the most valuable because now you got somebody who can complement Kyle Pitts. You got somebody who can open up things for everybody that's on the field, because Jonnu Smith was very productive under Arthur Smith. And for him to get in this get in this offense, and you have a Kyle Pitts, you have what's his name, Drake London, you have Zacchaeus. We're going to get another receiver. I can promise you, we're going to pick up another receiver via the draft or free agency. We're not done yet. And as of this recording, something could have went down. I have my phone on standby just in case. You're looking at a situation where, even if it's not, which I want it to be, I know I said this back and forth a few times, I want Desmond Ridder to get a shot. I want him to be QB1. I want him to get a shot to develop, because all the great quarterbacks do get time to develop. They don't become great once they go to another team for the most part. Most great quarterbacks are brought in. They're homegrown from the beginning. I mean, it just doesn't, you can get a few guys who went in the free agency and got better, but most of them got really good homegrown. So I want him to get that opportunity. Even if we do get another, if we even do get another quarterback to end up starting, this is still going to be really valuable for them to have a guy that is definitely in tune with this offense with Smith. Got another guy who's athletically gifted like Kyle Pitts. A guy on the outside who's a big-time possession receiver that can go down and pretty much, even though he's a big-time possession receiver, he can still go out there with the best of them with Drake London. Got Zacchaeus who can actually, run the routes in the slot or whatever the case may be. And you get a decent number two that can do a mix of both, whether it be just very good at possession, but he can actually block, or if he is good at blocking and he can catch the balls that need to be every now and then, you're going to have a very good offense here, especially when you have Tyler Algier running the rock. You have Cordell Patterson as well, still on the roster, that can run a rock. When you have an extra person, the second tight end like Jonnu Smith, who really knows this offense very well, with the Kyle Pitts, that two tight end set is going to be very friendly for Desmond Ridder or whoever other quarterback that's going to be starting. So that, I think this is the most valuable pick up for the Falcons, because you got to have really good offense, and if you get a consistent offense that have so many targets that keep the ball moving, that I know defense win championships, but offense makes it much easier for the defense when the offense is scoring 30-something points. I mean, it's just the way it is. Now, let's talk about I don't even need to go into Chris Lindstrom. What more did I say? Can I say about a 5 years, 105, well-deserved. Best offensive guard in the game, highest rated guard in the game. We all knew this throughout the season. Not much more to be said about that. Well, let's talk about David Onyemata and Jesse Bates. Starting off with Onyemata. Onyemata is definitely needed when it comes to interior pass rush. Grady Jarrett has been constantly doubled and triple teamed. I think it was the Lions game. Grady Jarrett was mic'd up one time, and Grady Jarrett was like, "Man, y'all got to triple team me for real? Like, come on, is it that serious?" But look, they know how serious Grady Jarrett can be. You bring a guy like David Onyemata here who knows this defensive line and how the defensive line schemes work. This is going to work out very well for Grady Jarrett and Ebiketie, even with Lorenzo Carter, if he's going to be in there for most of the snaps. Now, I'm already on record to saying who I want at the number 8 pick. I already said I want Nolan Smith. If you get a guy like that around this around this defensive line, it's going to be nightmares. Now I know Jalen Carter is another person I won't mind getting as well, but gut feeling, Nolan Smith is the guy in my opinion. But let's just keep moving. You get a guy like Onyemata that knows the defense, how the defensive line works. He can give people more of information, not only just what to do with this defensive line, but what our rivals, the New Orleans Saints like doing their offensive line. It just goes back to, like I said, when we got the defensive coordinator. It's a win-win. When you're trying to win, the best thing you want to do, first and foremost, get as much intel you want off of your divisional rivals. You want to get as much intel as possible. You want to know what the Panthers are doing. You want to know what the Buccaneers are doing. You want to know what the Saints are doing. And right now, with the Buccaneers, they're getting Baker Mayfield possibly. Oh, man, I love this defensive line. We need to go ahead and wrap that up so we can get more dogs to go after these quarterbacks. None of these quarterbacks can move. I don't know what the Panthers going to do. Maybe they do get Richardson. Let's make it hell for him for the first 2 years. Make them growing pains work on him. Put them growing pains on him. Let's get a pass rush. You know, Derek Carr, David Carr's brother. I keep getting names mixed up, whatever the case may be. Let's make it hell for him too. Look, we shouldn't be afraid of no quarterbacks in this division. We should never be afraid of quarterbacks, period. But the problem is we've been afraid of quarterbacks because we couldn't get anybody to get to the quarterback. Now we're starting to pull that together. Bradley Pinion, 3 years, $8.65 million. I think that's another deal that's fairly friendly. He's a high-paid punter, and that's pretty cool. Before I get to Jesse Bates, let's go back to David Onamaya. I think his deal is also front-loaded. I think he gets like 23 or 21, up front or something like that, or the first 2 years. I mean, it's very friendly because it's not backloaded. And one thing about the backloaded, the deals are not backloaded like the Automayas or the Jesse Bates, and even when Jonnu Smith is going up, his deal's going to be restructured. The thing about these deals that are not backloaded, when it's time for free agency and these guys' contracts are over, they already got their money up front. So in the back of the contract, you're not trying to deal with, offloading a lot of money because they got most of their money up front. So like Jesse Bates, the first 2 years, he's getting half of that money. That's a really good deal. David Onamaya, 2-year deal, he's getting 21 up front. So when those last years come in, you only worrying about 10, maybe $8 million. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how Chris Lindstrom is. I don't know if his is backloaded or whatever. Front loaded or whatever. But I would think that it probably is. Now, back to Jesse Bates. Now, I know I said Jonnu Smith is probably the most valuable player that we're picking up, and I explained the reasons earlier. But I will say this. Look, Jesse Bates is a game changer when it comes to the secondary and some cases with the defense for the Falcons. The reason why I say that is this guy could come from the secondary to provide run-stopping help. He can also cover. He's going to be able to give AJ Terrell some help. Casey Hayward, when he comes back, is going to be a little bit more help with that. We may end up getting another cornerback. I've heard rumblings that we may even draft a cornerback. I think I said that right. We said we're going to draft a cornerback. We may even get one with the number 8 pick. We don't know. But if we do that, that's going to be, just more help, but Jesse Bates is that guy. I think Jesse Bates is another great pick. Could be as valuable as Jonnu Smith, but I'm still going to lean on that Jonnu Smith. I think he's going to be the more valuable pick. But I love the fact that we got Jesse Bates. You got a guy with not only just real good ball hawking skills, but experience. He's just recently been to the Super Bowl, so even though we talk about what happened with 28-3, and we still got some guys from that Super Bowl, Jesse Bates just been to a recent Super Bowl, so he knows how the dynamics of the game has been since the last time we were there. So he has a lot of value that can be added to the team, which definitely is going to help. I'm not 100% sure how big of a help it's going to be because honestly, our secondary outside of the Bengals game, we're talking about a former Bengal, but outside of the Bengals game, the secondary has been shaky at best. We had about a plug-and-play guys, but they held their own for the most part. I think our main thing was we just had problems tackling and stopping the run. That was the main thing. I mean, we got away with some passes that shouldn't have been completed. We got some blown coverages every now and then, but I don't think that was the biggest issue. I think our biggest issue, we just couldn't get to the quarterback and we couldn't stop the run. So with Jesse Bates going to be able to do that, and you already know AJ Terrell don't mind, getting dirty and tackling players every now and then. This is a really good pickup. It may be the biggest pickup that we have, but I'm just guessing when it comes to the offense, maybe Jonnu Smith may be the most valuable pick, but Jesse Bates, obviously, I think he's going to be the best pick. I think valuable. I think we really want to understand what we're paying for and what we're getting in return. Jonnu Smith wanted to come here. He knows the system. We're not going to pay him that much. We're going to restructure his contract. And with what we're getting out of him and what he can bring to the table is much more valuable. But Jesse Bates, I think clearly is going to be the best pick that we got so far. Maybe things will change in the next couple of days. Maybe things will change with the draft. And not the, saying anything bad about Anamaya. He could bring some value to the table as well. And you already know what you're getting out of Chris Lindstrom. It is what it is. Lorenzo Carter was just signed recently. So you see what you got with that, and what's going to happen with Rashaan Evans. Are we going to bring him back? I would love to see him back. I think he did very well for us. So that all of that ties into what we're doing, and I think we're going to have a really good looking off season. Hopefully that carry on to the preseason and beyond. I think one thing really at the end of the day, I talk about Jonnu Smith and the quarterback situation, how that's going to help Desmond Ridder. We got to understand, guys, we're going to have to, pick up at least 2 more quarterbacks. So I want him to be QB1, but, there's a high possibility that it may not be the case. There may be, a possibility that he is QB1. I mean, what are we going to do? The best thing we can do is get enough weapons around him, regardless. Even if you bring a rookie in, you want weapons around him, And I already told you how I felt about the veterans that are coming in from, other teams of free agents. They usually, in my opinion, I don't really see them really panning out right away. Look what happened to Russell Wilson. Look at I think Tom Brady's like the only outlier as of right now. You can talk about Matthew Stafford, but Matthew Stafford was, already he went to a loaded team. I mean, I ain't gonna say anybody could have done it, but the chances was in his favor. It wasn't all on his back to do much. You had a really good team, but never here or there. That's just a whole nother topic for another day. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to get out of here. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I think the Falcons knocked it out of the park. What do you think? I think the Falcons done a phenomenal job knocking it out of the park. These guys are going to be continue to try to move up and get better. Shout out to the front office. I told you guys, man, you got to trust these guys. You got to trust what they're doing. Doesn't mean we're going to be world beaters or we're going to win the Super Bowl or we're going to go far in the playoffs. Nobody can predict that. Honestly, I mean, you can guess, but to see what they're doing, you just have to really understand, or you have to admit, all right, they're doing something. You know what I'm saying? They're doing something that's actually beneficial to the team. They're not going backwards. And for the most part, that's all you can ask when you're making, free agency and draft decisions. You don't want to set the team back by making boneheaded, moves. And I think these moves are actually pretty solid, from we just signed Lorenzo Carter all the way down to Jesse Bates. I think we're doing pretty solid for ourselves. All right, y'all. Let me know what you guys think. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble, Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. Give me a 5-star rating on the Apple Podcast side. Hit the thumbs up, hit the like button. Let people know what we're doing over here. Share this podcast to others, anybody that you don't mind sending it to. Let them know, look, it's another guy over here doing some content. Check him out. I really would appreciate it. I'm going to get out of here. Y'all take it easy, and y'all be blessed. Peace.